Hey, it's Marthea Pitts, the MSW coach, and it is Monday morning, July 1st, 2024. It's my birthday month. It's my birthday month. I'm a July summer baby. I was born in the middle of the summer, which so is appropriate. It's so appropriate because I was born and raised in Florida, South Florida to be exact, Palm Beach County, um, which is literally, if you are not really familiar with Florida geography, it is less than like 20 minutes, less than that, depending on where you are in the city, north of Boca Raton, Florida. We call it Boca Raton, but y'all will say Boca Raton. It is a little more than an hour, depending on how you drive, because in South Florida, they drive like they on a race car track, like 45 minutes to a little over an hour from Miami, Fort Lauderdale area. So I was born and raised in a beach town. I like literally steps away from the beach. I spent so many summers. I love summertime. I really, really do. That's why I hate when the time changes. But I spent so many summer camp days while in summer camp over the summers, because I always was in summer camp. My mom had us extremely active, me and my brother. So I spent lots of summers, lots and lots and lots of summers on the beach during the day, at the pools, at the community pools, taking swimming lessons, being outside by the water. That's why I desperately need to get to the water. Um, because I grew up around it. So, and I live in a place where there's no beach. Like you have to drive, and it's it's not the beach that I'm used to. It's the coast, which is very different. The beaches on the east side of Florida are very different from the beaches on the west side of the Panhandle. Very, very different. They look very different. They feel very different. The bodies of water, of course, geographically are different. So yeah, one is the Gulf. I'm used to the ocean. So I am missing the water. So I know that was a whole lot of things, but I said that I guess because in that moment I was like thinking, oh yeah, this month is I know I'm fully aware. I celebrate my birthday all month, but I'm like when I was saying, oh, this month is my birthday, I was thinking maybe I should do a podcast episode today. I don't know, don't hold me to that. I am an introvert, but by like I think I'm an introvert by as a result of early life experiences. I don't think I'm naturally that way. However, as an introvert, we will make these large, grandiose plans, and then when the moment comes, no, I'm not doing it. So I think I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. Don't set your clock by me on that one, but we'll see because I'm gonna be in the wind this month. Okay, so because it's a milestone birthday for me. All right, so I want to I've been up since like seven something, and I wanted to talk to you all really quickly, and I was gonna wait until I got like fully ready for the day and all of the things, and I'm still sitting here. I think I've been up since like 6:30, really, and I've been working. I've been doing some admin stuff, things on the back of the house because I had a 2-day workshop series this weekend. If you don't know, teaching social workers, change makers like you, how to find macro social work jobs. So I'm doing the admin stuff on the back end of that, sending them emails, sending them replay link updates, and scheduling emails and all of the things so they get what they need to get them a win. There was so many aha moments. People left that call finding macro social work jobs. Everyone had to find one job using the strategies and the techniques that I taught them. And it was a win across the board. It was a win across the board. So it was really, really, really successful. I also, the day before and then Saturday, had a career clarity intensive with people who upgraded to VIP admission. And so what that was me really taking them through an intensive process. Like in the workshop that we had on Sunday for job searching, they got an overview of my framework to get clarity on what you want to do, However, those who upgraded to VIP got like me with them hands-on, one-on-one. It was in a group setting, but it was still hands-on. And so they went from in a matter of I think it was originally scheduled to be 2 hours, but once you get me started talking about careers, we're gonna be on here longer than that. So it was originally scheduled for 2 hours, but we in a matter of 3.5 hours, they went from me asking at the beginning of a call, what type of macro job you want, and them all saying I don't know, to at the end of it being very clear and specific about the type of macro work they want to do, what issues they want their work to center on, what populations, what roles they want, how they want their day-to-day work to look like. And then also I had them formalize that in a statement that they now can use to market themselves and tell people about the work that they want to do, which helps them better find aligned macro jobs. And so in the workshop that I had on Sunday, for those who purchased general admission tickets, I gave them an overview of the framework that I used with the VIPs the day before. Because you can't go into a job search. I'm going on the TED Talk, so hold on to your seat real quick. You cannot go into your job search not knowing what you're looking for, right? Because if you click open any popular job board right now and scroll, just put in United States. If you put that in, or whatever country, put in United States. Let's go with this example because I don't know where people are listening to me from. If you put in United States for jobs, there will be hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of pages of results. So it's not that jobs aren't posted, it's just that you don't know what job you are looking for, which is a result of the fact that you don't know what you want to do. So you need clarity. So when people are like, they just want to learn how to search, no, that's the quickest way to have a bad job search, and that is not a strategy. So what I taught them yesterday were proven strategies and techniques, and it all starts by getting clear, sitting still for a moment, right? Slow down, pump your brakes for a moment. It all starts by figuring out, what do you want to do? However, the bonus of working with me, what I specialize in, is teaching you how to find jobs that are aligned with what your passions are, what your interests are. We are not picking from a list. We are really designing our career based on what we enjoy. Do you enjoy the arts? Do you enjoy networking with people? Do you enjoy connecting people? Do you enjoy doing like writing documents? Do you enjoy doing large presentations? Are you passionate about women? Are you passionate about children? Are you passionate about housing access? Are you passionate about the eligibility piece in housing access? Are you passionate about creating more equitable opportunities in the food access space? Are you interested in environmental justice? Also, in addition to that, what type of organization do you want to work in? In the workshop, we didn't get into organization types. However, in my micro to macro career accelerator program, I have an exhaustive module where I teach you about the different organization types. There's more than one organization types. You can work in, yeah, I know you all know about policy, but corporations do macro level work. Think tanks do macro level work. Philanthropic organization. I have like over 25 different organization types that I have gathered over the last 10 years. And if you all hear that beeping sound, I don't know if you do. I was on chat with someone earlier troubleshooting something. I think they're still messaging me, but I thought we concluded that conversation. So give me just a second to set them free. One moment. I was troubleshooting something because, like I said, I'm working on getting these emails out to people. Oh, they're just sending me a survey. Yeah, the standard stuff. I'm like, I thought we were done. Okay, they were so helpful. Um, but okay, let me find you all on the screen. But these are all things, and this is not a thing that you sit down and do in 1 hour. It's not a thing you even sit down and do in a week. My participants inside of the micro to macro career accelerator do the career clarity process over 30 days on average. That's how long it takes them to get crystal clear about what they want to do. and what that looks like on a national level. So they're then able to not only just find the jobs, but brand themselves as a top candidate for the job, learn how to write their resume based on this stuff that they're learning, these things that's to set themselves apart from their competitors. It teaches them how to interview for the macro jobs. And get them. It teaches them how to plan for their future macro jobs. We don't stop with just the first one. If you don't know, newsflash, my coaching participants, they are on like their third, fourth macro job since working with me. Because I've been doing this for the last, I would say, 6 years. I was doing it formally. Like I've been doing it for years before I even got online. So there's a process. This is a continuous learning. It's not you're gonna get it in one time. So I was super, super, super excited that the social workers on Sunday and on Saturday were so invested in the process. They were asking very great questions. They were engaged, more than questions, because for the most part, they were all crystal clear on the strategies because I worked really hard to give information out in a very plain language way. Right, I'm clear that this is not your college standard lecture. I'm not lecturing anyone. I'm not in higher ed anymore. I don't do that anymore as of right now. However, I understand the importance of removing like that. Stop to not over intellectualize everything because everyone doesn't learn on that level, right? And I am a very plain language person that comes from my days of my many, 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 many days of working in state government and in the state of Florida at that time when I worked in the state of government and regulatory compliance roles where I was reading policies all day. I was reading laws and statutes all day. I was having to interpret, I was having to read that complex technical information and then interpret it to my non-technical consumer that was on the phone, which was medical doctors, it was nurses, it was RNs, it was child welfare investigators, depending on the department that I worked in, because I always worked in regulatory compliance. So over the years, over those 8+ years that I did that, I really perfected the skill of speaking in plain language because I learned in those roles that a person can have an MD degree and still don't understand what you're talking about. Why? Because that's not their thing. Their thing is medicine. My thing in that job was the policy piece and reading it and interpreting it and applying it to their situation. So you have to be aware of the learning styles and not even that, just like the context level of the people that you're talking to. They were low context in that situation. Why? Because that wasn't their thing. If the roles were reversed, and they were having to educate me about medical procedures and medical diagnosis and things like that, I would have low context. So they would need to make it plain language, which that doesn't always happen. Can we get a macro social worker to talk to doctors on the importance of that or hospital leaders about the importance of plain language? But if the situation was reversed, they would have to explain those things to me in plain language to better help other people, right? But if they don't do that, and if I'm not comfortable enough to say, hey, I don't understand what that means, which a lot of people are not. Degree, non-degree, professional, non-professional, blue collar. No one wants to ever admit, like, I don't understand, in fear of things, insert your thing, in fear of being judged, in fear of being whatever, whatever. So I remove all of that unattended shame that people attach to things that prevents them from asking questions to get the knowledge that they need. And I remove that and I just deliver it to you in plain language. However, depending on the setting that I'm in and the context of the people that I'm talking to, I can kick in. Right? If you've ever witnessed me, I have different gears. I can kick into gear, right? But it's really dependent on the context of the audience that I'm talking to. I don't ever want to create an intentional barrier that prevents people from getting the career education information they need from me. I'm very clear on my mission. I'm very clear on what I've been given to do. So in order to do that, I have to deliver the information in an accessible way. So that was me getting on my soapbox. That's the cornerstone of what I teach my micro to macro career accelerator participants to remove all of that jargon Nobody understands that. Nobody cares about you. Yeah, I was gonna go on a rant. I was gonna go on a rant real fast. Nobody cares about all that technical that yeah, I'm not gonna name it. Nobody cares about that. Just tell the people plainly. Just tell them what you do. Right. I know y'all used to talking like that amongst your colleagues and things, but that is not the place when you're trying to get a job. You don't know who you're talking to, so you have to make it accessible. All right, so that was a whole rant. But I wanted to come and talk about I was going to talk about the importance of really being clear about what you want to do in your career. I ended up somehow when I was working on the admin stuff that I was doing this morning, this video came up in my YouTube feed for my business for the MSW Coach Education Company. Because I'm a career channel, I'm not subscribed to anyone, I don't believe. But because of the content I'm pushing out, I get a lot of career related content videos in my feed. And so there was a video where someone who's a nurse, they're more like mid-career nurse. She apparently has a channel where she gives aspiring nurses and early career nurses like career related information and education. But what made me click her video, because I normally don't watch other people's videos and things like that, unless I'm trying to learn about a specific industry or sector or workforce and what they're experiencing and what their challenges are. Oh, I know why that video came up, because about 2 months ago, I was investigating the challenges in the healthcare workforce, specifically for nurses and healthcare professionals. Because if you don't know, it's a huge mass exodus from bedside nursing. For the nurses, they are leaving. They experience a lot of what we experience in social work when you work on the front lines, because it's all frontline work. It's all entry level work. I don't care how much you get paid, how glamorized it is. No one wants to stay on the front line, and you shouldn't. Those entry level jobs, those first jobs that you get straight out of your degree program, should be the introductory thing. You should be having a plan in place to steadily in advance in your career. It's called a career ladder, right? I'll give you an example that's relevant to social work. Have you ever seen a social worker that's been doing social work for like 10 years, 15 years, and they're still a case manager with you? That means they didn't have a plan in place. They did not progress up the career ladder. That's why a lot of them are burnt out, pessimistic, because pessimism is a byproduct of burnout. That's why they just make their life, they let them tell that their life is horrible on all levels, and then they make everyone else's lives horrible. It's because they stayed too long in the entry level job, and and this is what the person was kind of talking about in the video, as to why she did not leave nursing. However, and I didn't watch the full video. However, she's not in the like capacity she was in before. She's now an ARNP, a nurse practitioner, right? And ultimately, people go back to school and get degrees because and again, I'm not saying this about her, I don't watch her full video, but people go back and get additional degrees because they think that's the only way to leave the front line, when it's not. If you just had a good career plan and some strategies in place, you can advance in your profession without having to go back and get a whole nother degree. But anyway, so she wanted to move away from that, but not be removed from the day-to-day action of it. So she became a nurse practitioner. But yeah, that's why you see people in those roles way too long, because they didn't have a plan in place. Those jobs are not designed for you to be in them for your full four. I don't know how long you stay in the workforce. I never looked it up because I already early retirement was always my goal. I thought about that last night. When did that become a goal for me? I know it was initiated by seeing my grandmother retire early from the education system. My grandma has been retired longer than I can remember her working. And my grandmother is a very young grandmother. But then I also thought about it, I was like, my auntie retired from the education system very early as well. They both retired very, very early. So much so my auntie, I call her my auntie. My auntie has started a whole new career. She retired. She started some businesses. She took a break. She traveled. She built her dream home on the beach. And then after several years, she went back, she went to school and became a medical doctor, right? So she has had two career lives. And I'm like, wow, my life is so much patterned after the women who made me who I am, right? Who really formed me, who were key in my growth, in my development. So yeah, I say all that to say for me, I never knew the retirement age. I don't know what it is because it's not on my goalpost. I always said I'm gonna be like my grandma, and I'm gonna retire early, so I don't know. But you don't want to be the person that's in the frontline job until you retire. You came in that job and you retired in that job. No, no, because your body will wear down. Your capacity to listen to that type of sensitive information every day will wear down as you get older. And when I use the word older, it happens when you're still technically young. That's what happened to me. Like and I went into social work like later. Like some of you went into social work straight out of high school. I didn't go into social work until like in my early 30s, late 20s is when I started the program, more so my early 30s. But yeah, your capacity to listen to that stuff will wane. It will disappear. Right? It's not that you don't love the people, but your life changes, your taste changes as you mature, as you get wiser, as you heal, as you go on your journey, as you learn to prioritize yourself, as you learn like the things in you that were unhealed that made you connect to pieces of your work, you will change. You will change. If you don't change, that means you don't have a growth mindset, right? If you're just like, I'm just gonna always solve people's problems, I'm just gonna always listen to the most horrible stories for the rest of my life, that means it's something deeper that you need to address. And I'm not gonna go there, but yeah, you will change. Your capacity to hold that information, your physical fortitude will change, your mental bandwidth will change. You will change. And that is the importance of why I teach my coaching clients how to navigate their career. Because when you change, the first thing should not be, I need to go back to school get another degree because I no longer want to do this frontline, front facing, client serving, participant serving work. That if that is your default, you don't have enough career information and you need to work with me. That's the truth of it. Because you need to learn effective ways to navigate your career without having to go back to school, get another degree, take a demotion, work multiple jobs to supplement your income because you're still stuck in this case management job, but you're not making enough. Because also as you get older, when I say older, you could have been 23 when you started your social work program. Well, when you got in the field, and you're now 25 and you realize I don't like the way they operate in this system, or I just don't have the patience for that anymore. Right? I have coaching clients who are 25 in my micro to macro career accelerator. And one of the things she talks about is like when she clearly was over the whole I was gonna say circus, but she was over the whole like nonprofit world and how that revelation came to her and how she did not enjoy the leadership approaches in those organizations, right? And how so she specifically named how her supervisors were all younger than her. Right? They were all still in college. She had just recently graduated from her MSW degree program. And she said to herself that she really wanted to be in an organization where she had more senior leaders to her who could teach her, who could like help her develop professionally, who could coach her, who could mentor her, who could really just teach her some things. She said that she found herself knowing more than the supervisors that were supervising her, right? So it can happen at 25. It can happen at 31, 32. It usually happens when you're quickly approaching the age of 35. That's what I always say, right? That person that I just talked about, she's a trailblazer. I already know we gon' oh, y'all think Y'all think I have set the internet ablaze with these career wins. She's gonna be one. She's gonna be one of the ones that's gonna go in the Hall of Fame, just like everybody else who has come on and shared their stories, and the many others that you all have never seen or heard from. Because we've had well over 160 social workers land macro social work jobs, and they are doing some tremendous things. They're working in the United Nations. They're helping to lead large equity efforts in the insurance and healthcare access space across the country. We have people who are at R1 universities and senior level executive roles. Like we are getting change makers in all spaces. However, I'm going to set the internet ablaze with her. We're working on some things. But I say that to say, like, you will change. And what I find in my own personal experiences is that it's usually when you hit 35, right? And depending on how advanced you are, you will start feeling it around 33. You will start feeling it even more 34. You probably even start noticing it at 32. But when you're at 32, you start noticing that you just think different than everybody else, that you move a little different than everybody else. And you start acknowledging that. Like you start really acknowledging that. And the way that you acknowledge it is you start really doing different things than the people around you. I'm just gonna give some real but very generic examples. I'll use me as an example. I would say around like 31, 32. Actually, because I know I'm a little different. It was probably around like 27, 27, 28. But I'm gonna stick with this example. 31, 32, 27, 28, somewhere up in that time frame. I started realizing that I thought very differently than the people in my immediate circle. I'm not talking about coworkers, I'm talking about your friends, your family, the people in your circle. I realized that I moved very differently than them. I probably would say it was even around like 25. I realized I was very different. I realized that I thought differently, not saying that anything is wrong with the way they thought, but I realized that the things that I was doing to like go along, to get along, or however you say the same, was not really the beliefs that I held. And not that they were wrong, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. Right. So one of the very early experiences that I had is when I realized that the friend group, and I only had one friend. My circle is very small. I usually only have like one friend. Right. One person I call a friend. Other people are just associates. There's always only one friend at a time. Right. So I had this friend, and she was infamous for like talking about people, right? That was her thing. However, when it was just me and her, because I only hang with one person, when it was just me and her, she did not operate in that manner, right? She was very upstanding. She taught me a lot. She taught me a lot because I was a young mother. I had my daughter in my early 20s, well, when I was 20. And so she too was a young mother. She actually, I'm not gonna say because I'll be giving too many details, but she too was a young mother, and she taught me a lot. She taught me a lot about being a young mother. However, and so when we would be like when we would be friends, it was always very on an uplifting note. She was very supportive, encouraging. She was older than me. She was very wise. However, when I noticed that when we got around a different friend group, it wasn't my friend group, it was her friend group. Again, I'm an introvert, so I only have one person. However, she was very social with others. I noticed that her character really changed, right? So she would go from being uplifted, positive. She was very community focused. So she was just like me, where even though we weren't social workers, she was very concerned about the well-being of others. Like she did that just innately. It was not tied to a job. That was just her. However, when we get around a different friend group, I noticed that she would be talking about people. And I'm like, where did this come from? And so like I started to, after the first time I experienced that, I limited my interaction with her other friend group tremendously. So like what that would look like is when she would invite me to stuff and I knew they would be, I'd be like, who all gonna be over there? I wouldn't go because I don't want to sit and talk about nobody. I got enough stuff on my own. I don't need to be talking about nobody business. I know, no, I don't want to do that. I probably did that for a little bit in my early 20s, and I realized talking about people gets you nowhere. It gets you nowhere and it gets repeated. So just talk about yourself and distance yourself from people who talk about people. That is that tells a lot about you if you sit in a group talking about people, especially when you got enough business of your own to be talking about. Because these people specifically, nothing in their life was going right, and nothing in my life was going right at that time. So I don't need to be sitting around talking about nobody. Help me figure out these problems. And so that's why I was gravitated to her, because she was helping me figure out my problems. She was helping me navigate this journey of being a young mother. That adds nothing to me to sit up here and talk about other people. Girl, I got enough of my own, and I still do. I still have enough business of my own. That's why you don't see me in circles with people. I got enough business of my own to handle. That was one of the reasons why I left case management. I got enough business of my own. I can't handle your business and my business and then my daughter's business. And nah, it's too much. It's too much. You're overloading me. So anyway, when I'm clearly on a rant. I wanted to talk to y'all. That's why I'm like, do it now, Marthea, while your energy high. Stuff like after you fully get dressed and then you want to lay across your bed and do all of the other stuff and start fool la line. But so I realized when she would get around this other friend group, and I'm gonna be honest, I honestly don't believe that was a characteristic of her, like naturally. I think it was just her acclimating to the other friend group because they were significantly, well, they were about her age, but a little bit older than her. So again, that whole go along to get along type thing. So you want to be a part of it. So you start acting like those people. So I did not like that. I did not like that at all. So that was one of my early signs that I was really set apart, that I was different, that yeah, I don't want to do that. And so I had other situations like that, and I kind of went on the deep end on that one. But little things like that, right? You will change, you will mature. So in the beginning, it was like, okay, I'm cool with that. And so then as the years passed, other things happen, other breakdowns in the friendship happen, which I realize now that it really was a byproduct of what I was seeing in the early days. Like she wasn't comfortable in her own self. So how could she be a friend to me? Right? She wasn't honest to herself. So how could she be honest to me when at the very ends of our relationship, where I came to her and I took her out to dinner and I was like, what's happening here? What's happening in our relationship? Talk to me. Did I do something wrong? Did I missed something? Because I had been planning it for months and months, because she clearly was separating herself from me. But now that I'm talking about it out loud, it was just that she wasn't comfortable enough in her own. That's why she was acclimating to other people, conforming herself, putting herself in boxes with regarding other areas of her life, things like that. And again, I was maturing. I was not saying that she wasn't mature, but I was growing internally and did not realize it. This is me just verbalizing you all the external signs. I wasn't even doing like real intentional work in my personal life to grow. I was doing a lot of intentional work in my professional life. This is how I've gotten really good at the thing, because I've been doing it for almost 15 years, right? I was doing a lot of work in my professional life at that time to shift from being a perfectionist, from being on the colors assessment, from being an orange, the type A personalities, because I had been programmed in those call center jobs, in those state government jobs, and those regulatory jobs, that you can't make mistakes, that you have to be perfect, that you can't have an error. And if you do, your work is going to be heavily scrutinized, right? So it was around that time I was doing work in my professional life, because I did not like that. I did not like having to be perfect all the time. I did not like it, right? And so I was doing a lot of intentional work there, but however, in my personal life, I wasn't there yet in my personal life, right? I had a lot of unhealthy relationships, friends, romantic, all of the things, right? That's a different story for another day. My friend Sharika, she told me the other day, she was like, right there, when you gonna write your book? I was like, I don't know. Somebody else told me that. I haven't experienced a lot of stuff that you could never imagine. But anyway, so I was doing a lot of work there. And so that's just like an external sign that I realized, um, yeah, what was cool in my early 20s is no longer cool in my late 20s. So that friendship dissolved somewhere around like 30, 31. By the time I hit 32, 33, other things were transpiring in my life where I really realized like, okay, things that were cool in my 20s is no longer cool now. And so when that happens, you have to be able to adjust. And again, not just in your personal life, but in your professional life. So that's why you have to have effective and proven strategies, tools, techniques to figure out to help you navigate to the new space. So when it comes to your job, when your body is wearing down, when your mental fortitude is wearing down, when your emotional capacity is at its limits, you have to have proven strategies and techniques in your career to understand how to navigate to the next realm of work for you. To shift from being front facing all day long to maybe being more behind the scenes, to shift from being the doer in your work to the creator of the work, right? Which requires less physical exertion on your part, requires less emotional, mental exertion. I was talking to one of my micro to macro career accelerator alum yesterday because I have a community with them where I still meet with them and I'm providing them leadership coaching and professional development support. Even once they're in their macro job. And so one of my alum, she came to the session yesterday and she one of the things she said is like, I love my job. I love my macro job. She was like, because I'm not working as hard as what I was doing before. She's like, I love it. I love it. And she was talking about how her organization shuts down 2 times a year, which is what I told you all before. Macro organizations, they shut down for multiple weeks, certain parts of the year. Like the macro organization that I worked with last year, well, in DC, shut down for like 2 to 3 weeks during the winter holidays in December. Like the organization completely shut down, no work, everybody's off. All right, so shifting from being in a micro organization where you're a case manager and you're on work when you're on call 24/7 and people calling your phone and you're running out in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. in the morning in a snowstorm and a hurricane, to having paid weeks off to enjoy the summer, to enjoy the winter holiday, that is a shift, right? And that is a shift that you need to shift into when you get older and you realize the things that you want the things that you need are changing in your career life, right? Because you don't want to be, I don't want to name my age, but you don't want to be close to retirement age, still running out at 3 a.m. in the morning to go do a removal, to go do whatever you do in your respective area. You don't want to be answering calls. That ain't cool. That's something you do in your early years of your career. You do the hard work in the early years of your career, and you have a solid career plan in place and strategies to navigate your career to then build off of that to get you a comfortable position. Have you ever noticed like the CEOs of organizations, they stay in them way, 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 way too long, well past retirement? It's because they have worked really hard to get there. And they're like, you're going to have to carry me out of here. Right? That's why the goal should not be to come in and come out in a frontline job. So I'm gonna let that be the recording for today. That was good. That now you should have been taking notes because I was really telling you some stuff there. I want you to be fully aware and have an exit plan in place. We'll call this how to create an exit plan, right? Or when I might title it like when do you how to know if it's time to create an exit plan, because that's what that is. It's an exit plan. I didn't attach the formal name to it, but it's called exit planning. When are you going to exit your case management job? And what will be your next step? where will you go next in your career? It should not be to another case management job when you realize I can no longer hold this stuff. I can no longer do this work. It should not be to go click on another case management job. It should be to go get you a nice, comfortable job where you sitting in somebody's office or you sitting remotely in your home and you advocate from your office. Like me, I'm sitting at my laptop right now, looking out the window, looking at the trees sway around, kicking my feet in the air. That's how I was during the pandemic. I was working my macro jobs then. I wasn't out in the wild during a pandemic. I was in my home. But I did strategic steps the years before that to get there. Because if I would have had to been out in the pandemic, working in the DV shelter I was in, where it's 24/7, where I was required to be on 24/7 and I was leading the team. Oh no, that wouldn't have worked. That wouldn't have worked. Paired with the murder of George Floyd, I was scared for my life during that time. It's no way in the world I would have been out there in the world working during that job. That's why so many case managers have never bounced back from that time period, because they were out in the field working. There are so many social workers. You will not, so many that I talk to on a daily basis, and so many I know in my real life. There's so many social workers who are on permanent burnout leave. That's what they call it. Burnout leave, medical leave. There's so many of them that have left the field altogether. So many of them stopped working. They're just now going back to work 4 years later because they were in danger, constant danger in the height of the pandemic. And they felt like they had, well, not felt, they did not have support from their leadership. Did a whole focus group on it one time for my doctoral degree program, an assignment that I had, and those were some of the reflections. One of the key ones were they felt like they had no support from their leadership. And so, and a lot of them said that they never found themselves after that, that a part of them has died. So when will you realize that you need to create an exit plan? All right, I'm gonna go. Y'all ain't got enough, and I don't feel like I'm depleted. I feel like I still got energy to do my work. I wish y'all could see me, but you can't see me. I am not camera ready, but I just did like a jazz hands. Because I'm excited. My energy is high, but I want y'all to listen to this replay, to listen to this podcast episode. Share it with a friend. Share it with a friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend, because you think you just need a resume and some job titles. No, you need to do some other stuff. You need to do some other things. It's a process. It's not just a resume rewrite. You can get your resume rewritten. You can pull a title from a job list, but you know what will happen? 1 year to 2 years from now, you're going to be back feeling the same feeling you had in your case management job. You're either going to hate your job, you're going to not be interested in the work that you want to do, you're going to be daydreaming about doing other types of work, you're going to be volunteering and for boards and starting side projects and side hustles to really get to do the work that you want to do. You're going to be working multiple jobs to do whatever it is that you're trying to do to get your fulfillment. And my thing is, why don't you just get you one good job that meets all of your requirements? And I'm not talking about remote work either. I'm talking about the things you want innately, right? If you follow my content, that means you have high career intent. That means you are very intentional about the career that you want. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that there. Make certain that you grab my free e-course. It's down in the link in the episode show notes. It's down in the comments. I will post this on YouTube, but you ain't gonna see me. I'm not camera ready. Grab my free e-course at macroandpaid.com. I'm working on some things. I want you to be a part of it. It's gonna really help you. So you need to grab the e-course, because grabbing the e-course is the introductory way to learn about macro social work jobs. I break down everything there is for for you to know about macro careers. I give you salaries, job titles, organization types, what the work looks like. I explain the difference between micro and macro work. I explain the difference between how you can recognize if a micro organization is a micro organization or if it's a macro organization. Many of you are working in a micro organization that you think is macro, but it's really just social work administration. One of the key rules of one of the plain language ways that I tell people how to identify that, if it is a ton of y'all social workers running around there and everybody got has a parking lot of letters after their names, that's a social work administration organization. It's not macro. Yeah. So get the e-course. Now, I do want to get a disclaimer on that. What I just said, there are some micro organizations that do elements of macro work. So that wasn't a blanket statement. Don't get caught up in the weeds on that one. However, for the most part, many of you are doing social work administration work, and it's not macro work. Macro work does not require you to have any special certifications, any specialized licenses. It does not require any of that. At bare minimum, and this is what I proved last night in the How to Find a Macro Social Work Job workshop. At the bare minimum, a true macro job only requires a bachelor's degree and 2 years of experience. 2 years of experience, not even leadership experience, just 2 years of experience and a whole lot of passion about the issue. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go grab the free e-course, macrounpaid.com. Happy macro career planning. Bye.